So a very important question is, how do you bring up the adjustable base?
Yes.
The first thing that I would absolutely positively say is there's no wrong answer to this question. The important fact is you bring it up in the first place. But there's a lot of different ways of doing it. What's your favorite way to bring it up?
My favorite way to bring it up is early and often.
Okay.
So the earlier you can bring it up in the sales process, the easier it's going to be to talk about while you're looking at different sleep systems. You can talk about certain feature sets. So as you're walking around looking at mattresses, does this one do the head up? Does this one come with USB ports? As long as we're thinking of it as one solid sleep system and not a mattress and an adjustable base, as long as you bring that up in the beginning, it's really, really easy to talk about.
I think that's a really good point. Talking about the idea that it's a sleep system, the first time they lay on a sleep system, you can demonstrate something as simple as pushing the leg button and moving the legs up and saying, hey, by the way, this really great sleep system allows you to elevate your legs. Just really triggering the conversation about what an adjustable sleep system can do for you, and then making it a natural conversation. You mentioned early and often, and I think that's a key as well. But sometimes if you get towards the middle of the sale, it's important to recognize that, hey, at any point, you can just broach the subject. Say, hey, listen, you mentioned you have a bad back. Well, the mattress you're laying on is a great feature that has a lumbar support within it. Your sleep system can give you extra lumbar support. So I think that the idea is, whether you bring it up kind of anecdotally, saying, oh yeah, I had a customer who said they had a problem with their back and they found that this sleep system really helps, or you just straightforward and say, by the way, this sleep system has the ability to raise your leg, or you push the button. Zero G, for example, is another great way to do it.
And what you just mentioned there is perfect. Talking about this mattress has a lumbar sleep system in it, right? So the guest is actually thinking that the mattress is doing it, not necessarily the base, keeping the two components together instead of separate.
Exactly. I think some of the key questions when you're beginning to introduce the idea of an adjustable sleep system would be things like, do you sleep well at night? As basic as that. You know, what are some problems you're having with your current sleep system at home? That leads itself well to kind of communicating about maybe you have a bad back issue, or any number of those. You agree?
Sorry. No, I absolutely do agree. I take it a little bit differently, and I'll ask them something like, when's the last time you purchased a sleep system? Because typically it could be a long time. You get answers like 8, 10, 12 years. You know, I've never purchased one before. I've had a hand-me-down from my parents, you know, going through college. So that opens up the conversation of, well, a lot's changed in, let's say, 10 years. If you think about TVs 10 years ago, you couldn't get those curved 4K high-definition TVs. The bedding industry is no different. A lot's come a long way in 10 years, and let me show you. And then you can walk them to it and start talking about the sleep system altogether.
I think that's a great point. And the other thing I'd say is, pay attention to your customer. The questions I ask one customer might not be the exact same questions I ask the next. If somebody comes in wearing a great pair of running shoes and they look relatively athletic, I might bring up, hey, are you into sports? Are you into athletics? Do you run? And then the ability to present the sleep system might take on a path of discussing how, you know, adjusting the legs, for example, will help you in your recovery times. On the other hand, if the individual is obviously suffering from some kind of back pain, maybe I'll ask them, you know, do you suffer from back issues? Or is there anything that, you know, I should know about in terms of how you sleep? Do you toss and turn? Are there pressure point issues? There's 100 different ways to kind of approach the subject. But I have to admit, I keep going back to the concept. It really is no wrong way to do it. You just have to make sure you do it every time.
Yeah, the important part is building rapport.
One key element to being successful with selling an adjustable sleep system is not waiting till the end of the sale to bring it up.
Right. It goes back to the kind of that early and often. So as long as you can get your customer laying down on, let's say, the mattress, and we want to do the top-down selling, so usually the highest priced mattress, so you can work your way down. You can add the benefits of an adjustable bed right then and there, very first, so you can start taking away things during the process.
Sure, and again, it's a lot easier to make them fall in love while you're showing the process in the beginning with this great sleep system than it would ever be at the end, where they say, oh, and by the way, I have an additional product to show you that's going to double the price of the sleep system they're looking at.
Right.
So I think that's a good point.
Yes, yeah. It makes it really hard when you're trying to add something to a sale, as opposed to it was part of the sale the entire time.
Agreed. Now, Ryan, there's a lot of preconceived notions on sleep systems in general. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Sure. What I run to in the field a lot is retail sales associates struggling with the idea that when their customer walks into the showroom, they're looking for something around $500. They're looking for something, that's going to last them another 10 years or something. It's something along those lines. They're trying to shop based on that budget, which circles back around to the price objection. But the major preconceived notions that customers do have when they walk in is that they can find something of quality that's going to last them another, 10 to 12 years, right around the $500 range, because that's what they bought a long time ago. So there's certain questions that I like to approach almost right off the bat after you get their names, build a little rapport with them. One of my go-to questions would be something like, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, if you don't mind me asking, when's the last time you purchased a mattress?
Okay.
And then I'll follow that up with however long they just told me. We'll say 10 years, for example. I'll say, wow, a lot's come a long way in 10 years. If you think about the TVs 10 years ago, you couldn't get those curved 4K ultra high definition TVs. The bedding industry is no different. A lot's come a long way in 10 years. And if you don't mind me asking, do you remember what you purchased that mattress for about 10 years ago? And they usually follow up with something low, something around, $500, $800, $1,000. That's the problem with it, is that they think they can come in, same technology,
Sure.
lasting the same amount of time for the same price. That's not true in any industry. I don't understand why they believe it's true in the bedding industry, but they do. So you follow that up with, wow, $1,000. You probably got a really good one. Something of that kind of quality today, you're probably looking around $3,000 or $4,000.
I see.
But
So it's almost like shifting their expectation.
Exactly. Before they even
Yeah.
lay down on a sleep system, they know beforehand that if they want something of quality, something that's going to last, they're going to have to spend a little bit of money.
Yeah, I'd also add to that, I think we've done it to ourselves in our industry.
We have.
Because if you think about it, a lot of times the product that we advertise is going to be the least expensive product. So $5.99 queen sets, and quite frankly, when you look on them on the television set or you look in the newspaper ad,
That's what you see.
it looks great
Right.
for $5.99, so they come in expecting a $5.99 sleep system to be the be all and end all.
Exactly.
Okay, I get where you're coming from. One of the easiest ways to remember a sales process of presenting the adjustable sleep system is using the acronym STEP UP.
It is. And I'm going to credit you with that because you did come up with it. But show every guest is the very first one, which is great because as we mentioned, it's a product that has to be shown to be valued.
Yeah, even in today's market, 90% of the people that are buying an adjustable sleep system never intended to buy an adjustable sleep system when they walked into the store, which means if we don't show every customer, the odds are pretty good we're missing sales. So S stands for show every customer. The T is kind of fun. It stands for test drive 0G.
Yeah, because 0G is the most beneficial position with technically, if you 15 degrees on the head, 35 on the knees, activates the lymphatic system. I know we have a lot of downtime. Google 0G. There's a lot of health benefits to it, and there's a really nice story behind 0G as well, so I'm glad that's in there.
Absolutely. So T stands for test drive 0G, and the E stands for excite them with a massage. This could get tricky, right?
It could. When I was presenting and talking about massage, changing the terminology on it, only because when I said massage, I would get a lot of objections from the female because they think of massage as a deep, therapeutic, deep rolling massage. So I like to use the term rocking to excite them with and talk about the car ride and how it's easy to fall asleep in the car. But you definitely want to show the feature and excite them with it because it's one thing that they won't want taken away from them.
That's a very good point. And then the P stands for the preset functions. I have to say the preset functions is really important as an aspect to the qualifying questions because what we're going to find out with those qualifying questions, what's important to that individual customer. And then you can actually present to them, well, you mentioned you watch TV a lot in bed. Well, here's a preset button, for example, on the remote control that is for watching TV. So the preset buttons is really something that works out to present the base.
Exactly, and you can change it too because it says like, the number 1 preset or the number 2 preset. In reference to what you just said, I call it my TV watching button even when I'm showing it to them. And
Really?
the number 2, even though it has the number 2 on it, I'll say it's called my bed changing button.
Sure.
So I'd hit the number 2, so the head would go up and the foot would go up. Easier to change the sheets, which a lot of people can relate to. But naming the buttons is kind of cool to do too.
Absolutely. And then the U in the STEP UP acronym stands for unique features. Now, the reason the unique features is important is every individual customer is going to have something about the base that they appreciated the most. So, for example, if the sleep system you're showing has lumbar support, perhaps that's something that the customer really related to strongly, and you should relate to that feature towards the close of your sale. Focus in on that. So, focusing on the unique feature. And then, of course, the P stands for?
To put it all flat.
That's it.
Yeah. You want to build them all up and then take it all away because because naturally people don't like things taken away from them. So when you put it flat, you're just starting to talk about a standard sleep system with a box spring, and nobody likes that once they're shown all the unique features in the massage and the step up.
Absolutely. And boy, I tell you what, if you've never experienced that, once you are presented with an adjustable sleep system and you experience being in 0G or having the massage or using the lumbar support, to have all of that taken away at the touch of one button really has a strong effect on the customer. And frequently you'll have them say, no, put it back.
You get the
Yeah.
Very impactful.
Excellent. I think an important difference in today's sales environment versus perhaps the old techniques that they trained 20, 30 years ago is that in the old days, the focus was on gimmicks. The focus was on objection, overcoming objection tricks, and the focus might have been on the product. Today's selling, the focus has to be on your customer.
Absolutely.
I think the biggest part of that, of course, is establishing good rapport and trust between you and your customer. Mm-hmm. If you can do that, the odds of them being willing to invest more in technology and products that, to be quite frank with you, are not inexpensive, and probably something that they hadn't thought about before, you're going to have much more success just by having that rapport with the customer. Is there anything that you do in particular that gives you good rapport?
Well, it really comes down to asking a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. I like to focus on customers that walk in, maybe what they're wearing. If you walked in with a Miami Hurricanes t-shirt on, I might ask you about the Miami Hurricanes.
Sure.
Or a Buffalo Bills hat on, I might
Sure.
ask you about the Buffalo Bills. It could be female walked in, she has a nice purse. I might ask her about her purse or say I really love it, or her shoes, or anything that she's wearing as well.
Sure.
Right? Which also helps overcome objections down the road because you're building rapport, you're getting them to like you. We buy from people we like, right? So a price objection is big, but sometimes price doesn't matter. I'll spend a little bit of money myself to go and talk to an associate at a certain retail store
Sure.
that I like because I'm friends with them, right? And we've built that rapport, so that's really important.
I suppose it goes back to the biggest sale that we ever make is the sale we make of ourselves.
Right.
We know that every customer is going to respond to you as an individual, and that is the key to making rapport, is relating to them and trying to make that connection, which I guess is another way of saying rapport.
Mm-hmm. It is. When we're talking about pricing, or I'm talking about pricing with the retailers out there, I say that they don't buy, a lot of people don't buy based on price, they buy based on experience. So I'm going to ask you, Paris, if you were, let's say you were down in Miami and you want to go see the Dolphins play, right? I ask questions like, why do we pay money to go see the Dolphins play football, right? Why do we pay money for that ticket when we can go to our local high school, right? Same amount of men on the field, same rules to the game,
Sure.
right? So why are we paying money to go see that? And the answer is the quality of the show. Right, you want to see high quality. So if we picture the sleep system as the games, a lot of people out there have sleep systems.
Right.
They go up and down, they lift their head, they lift their feet. What they're going to eventually end up paying for is the quality of the show that you can put on. And I can promise you that if you put on a good show, they're going to remember that. Whether they've shopped before you or whether they shop after you, they're going to remember the experience that you gave them, and that's what they're going to pay for.
That's an excellent point. A lot of times customers come in and they're concerned that maybe their mattress won't work on an adjustable sleep system. How do you overcome that, or what do you say when a customer asks you about their mattress?
Well, the real answer to that question is most mattresses nowadays do operate on an adjustable sleep system, whether it be traditional coil being the independent pocket coil. All foam mattresses we know are going to work on an adjustable sleep system. Even most hybrids out there today are foam and coil. The only mattress category that's really not going to work on it is the low prices. When you're talking about the traditional cage coil system, they're just not made to bend. So that's what I would veer away from. But most of them, you're going to be okay with it.
Well, that's a good point. The traditional Bonnell coil system, the hourglass shape that you'll find in a lot of the less expensive products, those don't work really well with an adjustable sleep system. But the one thing I would also say is, it's probably just a matter of communicating with the mattress rep. You know, talk about their line. I know with all the big mattress companies, almost all of the mattresses now are adjustable sleep friendly. But on the outside chance that you have a mattress that you're confused with, a simple question to your mattress rep probably clears up any confusion.
It does.
So, Ryan, what about the customer that says to you, hey, I sleep on my side. I could never use an adjustable bed.
That's a big one, right? That's a big one.
A lot of people sleep on their side. I think it's like 80%, 90% of the people actually sleep on their side.
They do. And I attack that objection in one of two ways. One is I ask them when they sleep on their side, how do they sleep? Do they sleep straight out like a board, or do they kind of sleep in a curled fetal position? The major answer that you're going to get, I've never had anybody tell me they sleep like a board, right? Okay. They always say they sleep on their side in a curled fetal position.
I see.
If you can demonstrate this, even on the sales floor, which is really nice, you can lay down and show them in that curled fetal position. When they roll to their back, they're actually up in a 0G position. So making the transition from a side sleep to a back sleep, especially in 0G, very easy transition. Or you can ask if you ever fallen asleep in a recliner. Yes, I have. You know, a lot of people have. That's technically on their back, and sometimes it just takes those little questions to turn a light on. The other way I would attack that question if a customer says, no, absolutely not, I need to sleep on my side, I'd say, great. Sleeping on your side as opposed to sleeping on your back, you know, is a very comfortable position. But the benefits of 0G, you don't have to be sleeping to receive the benefits of 0G positioning. So as long as you're in bed for the first 10 minutes, 20 minutes, as you're falling asleep, maybe you're watching TV, maybe you're reading your book, you're getting the health benefits of 0G, and then when you're ready to go to bed, hit the flat button and go to bed.
That's an interesting point. I can say that the idea of the adjustable sleep system is taking the pressure off of your back, which of course is what the fetal position is designed to do for you. One of the other things I like to point out as well is when you have the preset buttons, especially the ones that you can reprogram, which most of the Ergomotion adjustable sleep systems have, you can actually adjust it to be in a position that's very comfortable for you when you sleep on your side. For example, with the one I use at home, I like to sleep on my side, but I just raise my head just a little bit and my legs just a little bit, and it allows me to sleep in an actually perfectly aligned position, even on my side. I just push that as a memory button 1, and when I go to bed at night, I push that button, and that's my side sleeper button.
Yeah, almost like your side sleeper position.
Exactly.
That's a really good idea.
Thanks.